All right, folks, as promised, I'm going to go ahead and give you my personal thoughts on the spoiler synopsis that came out on Kanzenshuu about Dragon Ball Z Fukkatsu no F Resurrection F. Now, this does contain spoilers, this video does, but I'm not going to spoil the actual plot. There's another video, which I'm going to link to below, that I did where I do go through the entire movie, start to finish, and I recommend watching that and then watching this video. If you do not want to be spoiled, though, I recommend not watching either one. I may do a non-spoiler review shortly. Before I actually do the review, two things I want to say. Number one, this is not a full review for the film because I have not seen the film. You know, I haven't actually seen the movie. I've only read Julian and K17's reviews / synopsises for the movie. So the movie might turn out to be better visually, and I'm sure it is. I'm sure that it is. But this is just my thoughts on the synopsis, my opinion. That's number one. Number two, a little bit of background on me that you may not know. I've been around for a while. I just got on YouTube recently, though. But I love Dragon Ball, all right? I've been a Dragon Ball fan since 1994 when I saw the back of Electronic Gaming Monthly, and they were selling these toys with these spiky-haired blonde guys. And then there was a review in one of the EGM magazines for this game called Dragon Ball Z 2, which is an arcade game. So ever since then, I was hooked. And then I started bootlegging tapes in the mid-90s. I had fan subs. I had the Frieza saga, the Cell saga. Not the whole thing, but, you know, the Buu saga. I saw a lot of that before it aired on television. I did, of course, watch the stuff I was missing on Toonami, like most of you, I'm sure, did. And I watched the Spanish version on Telemundo because I am Hispanic. So, just letting you know, I've been around. I'm very familiar with Toriyama. I've seen this series in 3 different languages. I'm definitely not an elitist, but I like to think... In other words, I value my opinion pretty highly when it comes to Dragon Ball-related stuff because of how familiar I am with the subject matter and with the content and with Akira Toriyama. With that out of the way, I can't begin to tell you how excited I have been for this movie since it was announced back in the summer of last year. I could not even tell you how excited I was. I mean, I've been like obsessed with this damn movie since it was announced. When the trailers dropped, I watched them over and over and over again, like I'm sure many of you did. And that's the thing about the Dragon Ball community, is that even though, like I said, I started back in like 94, I got tapes in like 98, you know, bootlegs and fan subs, whatever I could do to get my hands on this show. We're all kind of, one thing I've learned is that we're all kind of equals in a sense. So if you came from the fan sub community, you know what I'm talking about. If you started on Cartoon Network, if you started on 96 and syndication, or even on Kai, you know, you're a Dragon Ball fan. And even if you've never seen the Japanese version, which is the one that I've seen it in 3 different languages, but even if you've never seen it, I like to think that you understand Dragon Ball pretty well. And the YouTube comments that I've read really have opened my eyes, because there's been other YouTube, you know, videos, not even Dragon Ball related, where people just say some dumb shit, but pretty much everybody who I've seen, with the exception of 1 or 2 people, is pretty smart. So I think y'all will understand where I'm coming from on this one. So after reading Julian's synopsis on the film, and then comparing it with K17's notes, I definitely don't think the movie's as bad as I initially had thought after reading K17's, I guess you can call it his little mini review or whatever. But I got a lot of problems with this movie. And here's the thing. I really don't like being negative. I don't like negativity, especially with Dragon Ball. I've defended Dragon Ball pretty much all my life to a lot of the anime snobs and just the snobs of the world who don't understand the greatness of this show and this comic and this whole franchise. You know, because Dragon Ball is a very simple show, but it's also very layered. The characters are, you know, it's not a cartoon. Even though I love, you know, I grew up with like Bugs Bunny and the Roadrunner and shit. That's not what Dragon Ball is, man. That it's not even, it's on another stratosphere. So here's the thing. Here's my issue. A lot of Vegeta fans, and rightfully so, because of the comments that Toriyama made, you know, a year ago or a couple years ago, A lot of Vegeta fans are upset because even though they're happy that Vegeta does beat Frieza in the movie in a fist fight, they're unhappy because Vegeta did not get the kill. And then, the Goten and Trunks fans and the Buu fans, a lot of people are unhappy because they feel like their characters were not represented properly in this movie. That's not my problem with Dragon Ball Z Fukkatsu no F. My problem is that from reading the synopsis, this isn't even a movie. It's not even like, there's no plot here. There's no story. There's nothing it's just a big fight. Like, it almost feels very much like Movie 7, which is not one of my favorite movies. Movie 7, which was the Super Android 13 is what it was called in this country. In Japan, it was the, what was it? Oh, God. Kyogen Batoru Sandai Super Saiyajin. Goddamn, I'm a nerd. Which is Extreme Battle of the 3 Super Saiyan. Anyways, I'm getting nerdy here. But that movie, it was just a fight. Like, Goku and, like, Gohan and them are at the mall. Number 14 and 15 show up. They all fight. Trunks, Vegeta, Piccolo, Gohan, Krillin, they all get involved. Number 13 shows up, and it's a big fight. And that's the whole movie. There's no plot. There's no development. There's nothing. And we live in an era right now, folks. We live in an era where you have to bring it as far as storytelling. Toriyama's laziness throughout this film cannot be ignored. It cannot be ignored. It legitimately can't. And here's the thing, like, there's good things about the movie that I like. Toriyama understands his characters. I like some of the comedy bits I've been reading about it. But there's so much lazy writing and a lack of explanation of things that I honestly feel like Fukkatsu no F is literally a slap in the face. Like, I have my intelligence insulted here with this movie. And that's not really what I want. I think most of us, I can't speak for everybody, but I think most of us, especially after seeing Battle of Gods, which developed Goku and Vegeta as characters, introduced 2 new characters, and opened up the Dragon Ball universe with Beerus at the end saying, oh, there's 12 universes. We all got very excited. The potential for more movies, more video games, more story, more Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball was back. So pretty much everything that was dick teased in that movie, with the exception of Vegeta's ascension to being equal to Goku, is not even anywhere to be found in this movie. Why? I don't understand. Now, one person said that Toriyama can't please all of us, and I agree. And again, that's my beef with the movie. It's not that Vegeta didn't get the kill, even though that does somewhat bug me, or that Goten and Trunks aren't in it. It's pretty much everything. It's the fact that what I wanted out of this movie is a good story. I wanted a film that had a beginning, a middle, and an end. I wanted a plot that was going to keep me on the edge of my seat. And from everything I've been reading, it's nothing even close to that. With the way that modern entertainment is, folks, I'm going to break it down for you like this. So nowadays, 2015, we live in a world where stuff like, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, kind of storytelling has taken a whole new twist in that now there's a lot more methodical and more well thought out storytelling with the way that the world is now. And maybe these shows aren't that big in Japan. I assume they are because they're huge everywhere else. But the fact that Toriyama is so goddamn lazy with a lack of explanation for anything in this movie is insulting, considering that his competition, whether you like it or not, as far as being creative goes, are these forms of entertainment, are bringing some of the best storytelling ever, and this guy is still stuck on, let's do this, who cares, let's not even explain it. And that's bullshit, man. When Frieza was first announced as being the villain for this movie, there was a lot of criticism about Toriyama choosing to go back to an old villain. And I kind of defended Toriyama in a way because I felt it was kind of a smart move to bring in somebody who was recognizable, to bring in somebody who was around during the boom of Dragon Ball Z, both in Japan, in the United States, in Mexico, everywhere, and make them the villain. Now, we all thought, and I have evidence for this because if you guys go and you look at the internet, and I don't just mean YouTube, I mean everywhere, the message boards. But if you look at some of my peers, like Rhyme Style and Unreal Endgame, all these guys, all of them, Quaman, right? Whether you like them or not, a lot of them were speculating on what we're going to see in this movie, and they all were very excited. Some of the things that we had heard were that Frieza becomes a god, and that maybe Frieza gets power from one of the other gods in another universe. So all these little ideas that people were throwing around were awesome ideas. Just so much crazy, cool ideas that fans, we're just fans. We don't work at Toei, and we're throwing around these ideas. And whenever a fan can write something that's better than the creator, it always bums me out. So again, I hate being negative. There's some things I like about this movie, all right? I like Whis. I like the training. I love that. I love the characters. Again, the characters are still, Toriyama still knows how to write these characters, and that's a beautiful thing. But there's no fucking story here. There's no goddamn story in this movie. Frieza comes back to life. He leaves to go train. We don't even see the training. People were very critical of Frieza being able to go from not being able to even beat a Super Saiyan 1 to surpassing Battle of Gods / Buu Saga Goku. So people were like, oh, well, what the hell? Well, obviously he's going to get a power-up. So then we find out that he trained for 4 months. A lot of people were upset about this. I'm thinking he trained and tapped into something. But they never even show the training. And when you're making a film, when you're telling a story, and you do something like this that's very non-believable, one of the techniques of telling stories, and I have a lot of friends who are in the movie industry. I have a lot of buddies I have one friend who's actually in Hollywood, has worked on some of your favorite shows. I'm not going to say which, but just trust me. I'm not going to bullshit you. And we talk about storytelling all the time. And if you're going to do something like this, you have to tell the people and show the people how it's even possible that Frieza attained this. There's no explanation at all. Vegeta is now a god or Saiyan beyond God with the blue hair. So how did he even get there if in the last movie he had to do the ritual with the 5 other or 6 other people or whatever? None of that's in the movie. There's no explanation. Did he do it off screen? There's no mention of it. That's extremely lazy storytelling. And I think that most of us are too old to be fed that shit, man. I'm just being real. I think that we deserve better, especially after Battle of Gods, which was such a well-written and intelligent movie. I hate to say this because I love Toriyama, but I know that some of y'all watching this are from all different parts of the country, all different parts of the world. Some of y'all are teenagers, some of y'all are adults, some of y'all are white, black, Latino, Japanese, all kinds of different ethnicities, and we all grew up differently. But I'm pretty sure most of you guys could probably write a better story than this and not have so many damn plot holes. I really believe that. A movie comes off like bad fan fiction. So just some of the plot holes off the hop right now. I'm going to just go through some of these plot holes. So we don't see the training. Frieza somehow surpasses a god. I can let some of this stuff slide. How is it possible that Shisami is on the same power or on the same level as Zarbon and Dodoria and can somehow compete with Piccolo? With post-Buu Saga, post-Kami Fusion Piccolo, who went neck and neck with number 17, who's way more powerful than Frieza. And light years more powerful than Dodoria and Zarbon. That kind of stuff makes no sense to me. First form Frieza almost kills Gohan with one shot. I mean, okay, I'm not going to complain too much about that one, but I don't really see it making any sense. Maybe if he was in his gold form, but his first form, no sense. The Vegeta thing I mentioned. How can Vegeta ascend to God level with no ritual or nothing? And there's no explanation. None. There's no explanation for it. That's the problem. So here's where I get really pissed. So Goten and Trunks are not in this movie at all. Not even a little scene. And they're kept away from the fight because, according to what we read in the Toyotaro adaptation, Bulma doesn't want them around because they can get a little crazy. which a lot of people have misinterpreted as it's too dangerous for him. How is it too dangerous if they were the Earth's only hope against Majin Buu? So it's okay for a 7 and 8-year-old kid to be the world's only hope, right? But now it's too dangerous. Again, I don't buy that. And then another big plot hole. How is it possible that Buu... Okay, again, Krillin asks where's Buu, and Gohan... I think Gohan tells him that Buu's sleeping. But we saw in the fucking Buu saga that Buu sleeps like 5 seconds and then wakes up and he's fully energized. That was one of the gags. So Toriyama writes these movies, and I don't even know if he even reads his own material. And then again, why is Vegeta a god with no ritual? He ignored the movie that just came out a couple years ago. You can't do that anymore, folks. So my main problem with Fukkatsu no F, and again, good things. I love Jocko, great character. I love the little interactions. Again, like I said a million times, it's the characters that I love. But what a terrible, terrible, terrible story. And when you have one plot hole, because Dragon Ball's got plot holes. When you've got one plot hole or two, we can deal with it. But it's plot hole on top of 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 plot hole. And it just, when you're watching any form of entertainment, you get drawn into the world and you suspend your disbelief. But if you're constantly being thrown bullshit that's not believable, even within the context of the Dragon Ball universe, it's just, it's nothing. A couple other criticisms I have about the film. Frieza is like, okay, this pissed me off. So there's all this hype about Frieza coming back. The movie's called Resurrection F, Revival of F, Fukkatsu no F. Frieza's a joke in this fucking movie. He gets absolutely no heat on the good guys. None. No heat on them at all. He just comes in and he gets beat by Goku, he gets beat by Vegeta, he gets beat by Goku again, and the only time he ever gets the advantage is when Sorbit helps Frieza fight with a little pussy-ass ring beam that shot through Goku's chest. How that, again, another plot hole, a little ring beam can shoot through a god's chest. Okay, tell me another one. And then, right after Vegeta beats him, he blows up the Earth. I get that's cool, but where's the threat? The movie has no sense of, like, dread, no sense of threat, no sense of, like, the good guys being in fear or having to struggle. There's no struggle here. Goku and Vegeta kick his ass. Why even bring back a villain just to be a punching bag for these guys? Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. I'm sorry. So this entire movie is just one big dick tease, is what it is. We don't see Frieza, even though he wants revenge on both the Saiyans that killed him. We don't see Frieza run into Trunks like everybody wanted, or Goten, or even much less get his revenge. Blowing up the Earth and having time be reversed, it's not satisfying to me. But maybe I'm in the minority. Again, I hate being negative because I really want to love this movie. And again, I'm sure the fight scenes are great. I'm sure they are. You're never going to hear me criticize that. Also, we were dick teased in the sense of he says that his daddy told him not to fight Beerus or Buu. No fight with Frieza and Fat Buu, which I really wanted. No fight between Beerus and Frieza. Beerus is not even fighting this movie. And I know a lot of people are fans of Beerus. Throughout the build-up for this film, we had been hearing things like, okay, well, like the first thing with Toriyama saying that Vegeta was going to get the spotlight. I mean, he does, but he doesn't even get the kill, which I don't understand why he couldn't let him get the kill. I don't get it. That's one, and that some people are more mad about that than I am, and that's fine. But also, Masako Nozawa, who does the voice of Goku, was going around saying that, oh, this is an incredible script. Every page was a surprise. Like, that's cool, but not every surprise is good if it makes no sense. You can't just do a swerve for the sake of a swerve and have it not make sense. That's one of my pet peeves when it comes to movies and any entertainment, really. And then the other thing, too, was the blatant bullshit from Ryusei Nakao, who said Frieza loses the battle but wins the war. Stay tuned after the credits. The post-credit scene is him back in hell. That's confirmed from several sources. How the fuck did he win the war? So you're teasing us about a potentially third film, which is, as of this recording, there's no word on that at all. All these lies. Toriyama said that Torishima loved the script and all that. Did he really? Can you love something that's so contradictory? Here's what I believe, folks. I believe that Toriyama is really legitimately becoming George Lucas. Both these guys created this incredible piece of art, Dragon Ball, Star Wars, when they were younger. And now that they're older and they come back, they've achieved such a zen-like, almost godlike praise from the fan base and from his peers that it's almost like a fear. Like, people are afraid to tell George Lucas, hey, man, this shit sucks. People are afraid to tell Toriyama, listen, I respect you and you are a legend, but there's plot holes here. Why don't we write something to cover them up? Because they're such fanboys. People who work at Toei grew up watching the shows like we did, and now they work there. That's my theory. I can't confirm that, but that's what it comes off like. And that's a problem. That's a big problem, because my big concern was I really don't want Toriyama to become George Lucas. But it looks like it's happening here. So again, I feel weird because I almost feel like a beaten down housewife, man, because I've been defending this show and this franchise for goddamn almost 20 years now. And for this movie to come out and there's like no thought put into it, there's just so many plot holes that are blatant, even if you're not even a super hardcore Dragon Ball fan. It really is a bummer, and I hate being negative because I really wanted to love this movie. I sung its praises. I was so excited, and it just doesn't cut the mustard as far as storytelling goes. Again, though, I'm going to see it. I'm going to enjoy the fights. I'm going to enjoy the humor and the things that made Dragon Ball so great, but I just feel like this was a particularly lazy outing. Leave your comments below. I know it's very polarizing. Some folks actually are loving the synopsis, and that's good. I really wanted to love this movie, but I just can't get over these plot holes. It's me. It's more me than you, all right? I can't get over it. I hate being negative, but go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment, spread the word. Give me your thoughts on what I've said in this video. Do you think that maybe there will be an explanation in the extended version? I certainly hope so. I hope we see all these things, an explanation on the God Blue Hair form, an explanation on Frieza's training, an explanation on all. I hope we see this. I really want to see this in the extended version, if there even is one. I really hope so, because that could save the movie right there. If they just take a little time to explain things so that we can watch the movie and suspend our disbelief and all be kids again. Anyways, I'll catch y'all down the road.